So let me begin with this poem of mine which pertains to the lockdown that we are currently in, and it's called Social Distancing. Uh, One second. Social distancing. Shouldn't I scuff my heels quite loudly to inform the neighbors that I'm strolling along the dusty corridor? I am able to keep my distance from people as the doors of the world slammed shut in my face after she tore away her skin fused to mine. I pause in mid-step with my hand on the railing, looking at an ant carrying a flake of bread and crawling back and forth upon the sour metal in a frantic search for the trail to its colony that must lie somewhere. I could put it out of its misery, but it might find its way. Who can tell? Insect and man united in the agony of not knowing. Thank you. That was a poem about social distancing, and it had the image of an ant in it, and in a sense, I want to draw a parallel between ants and people in the front of a killer disease. My next poem is called The Ant Queen. The Ant Queen. With her own jaws, she chewed off her wings. They nourished her until her first eggs were laid. Now, as the pulsing heart of pullulation, she fills chamber after chamber with generations emanating like concentric ripples from the bindu of her body. The urge to multiply is heady and fulfilling, and her destiny besides, or at least it seems to be. Sometimes she feels a fluttering at her back. Having sold the sky for the colony's sake, if she dreams of lost flight, what of it? Thank you. So from ants, we move to other animals. There is a segue to this, I promise. And a slightly light poem here called The House Tabby Speaks. So it's basically a house tabby speaking to its owner, but I'm the narrator. The house tabby speaks. Why won't he eat what she takes pains to hunt just for his relishing? A squirrel, a rat, or a pigeon plonked in the middle of the room where he can't miss it. He sighs and pats her on the head. The gift goes in the garbage. It's not offensive, it's only baffling, like his bathing afterwards while yowling, and as she thinks of it, his sleeping through the thrilling night when the darkness within should come out. At such times she fears he is insane, but it is to him she's given her all. She can't help it. Her claws come out at the sight of him, longing to tap a vein of his, to lap up a little blood, for you are most intimate with what you eat, and she wants him to be a part of her. Why does he avoid her? Surely she doesn't smell of the hunt. Separation is agony. Why does he torment her so? In yearning she calls to him. He approaches, her eyes close. She becomes a puddle in his lap, purring as he strokes her head. But if only he was a little less strange, what would she lack in this world? Thank you. Another animal poem. This one from the tabby cat we go to the domesticated dog, the pet dog. I imagine him as a Labrador, but you can imagine whatever you like. It's called The Excited Dog Barks. The excited dog barks. He knows what the world is made of. Warm, throbbing feelings. So many. The window takes slow, rasping breaths. Shadows in the lair give off stale smells. The heart thumps in the box bringer outside the door. The dog tells him the world is too much, and he hears a thud and the sound of running footsteps. The dog thinks the man is rude. The owner can't tell what the dog feels, or no one understands, not even the center of the universe, the one who tugs the leash. The dog wants to get loose. He wants to run so fast his fur blows off, yelling what he has realized. He promises himself he won't chase cats. Wow, look at that, a twig. He slips his leash, the world is eddies in his wake, but the breeze becomes his restraint. He longs for his master and returns. If the world is leashes on leashes, at least they are in master's hands, thinks the dog, and wonders what to do with the urge to leap outward and inward at once. Thank you. We are moving to the more or less the end of my session. This is a time when we sort of think about what is sacred for us, what is holy for us, what is divine for us. But as a sort of a questioner, as a sort of an agnostic, I am taking a very sarcastic look at divinity. So this is a poem, my last poem, which is called Says Shiva, where Shiva is speaking about his relationship with his son. And the aim is not to offend anyone's sensibilities, this is just a satire. Says Shiva, so I'm not a caring father. Who would be whose forces were bested by a small boy? I feel humiliated to this day. The sight of Ganesh burns me alive like the poison I drank ages ago. My shortcomings as a parent hardly matter, for I am a god. Not for me to be affectionate, it is for him to be devoted to me. Why couldn't he be more like Kartikeya, who circled the earth to show the depths of his devotion for me and his mother? On the other hand, Elephant Head went around us, saying we meant the world to him. He was always sneaky, that one, though my view may be a tad biased. After all, I cut off his head that day when he would not let me see my wife, for she was bathing, and so I set my great army on the boy. While all know how he won, I say it was through no bravery of his, but because he was molded by the hands of my consort. And that's another thing, he's got nothing of me in him. You don't beat my army. It was off with his head. Now I would let matters lie but my wife had other ideas. I was glad to put a tusker's head on him, making him a freak. But she made me call this birthless wonder my son. His battle prowess apart, his pansy interest in the arts really gets me hopping mad. I myself dabble in dance, but only in order to bring evil to an end. He is a pen pusher for a doddering oldie, babbling about a battle of brothers for a chunk of land, when it was a tale of Prithvi sating her thirst for blood through war, her massive bender, if you will, with the gods being bartenders. My son, aspiring novelist, got apprenticed to a mere man rather than to a snowy peak, there to perform austerities that would perhaps aid me in overcoming my dread fury that flows in spate without a cause, as also the burning of my throat from the poison of the manthan. But he rode away paring his quill for someone who wasn't his father. Why should this matter to me? Though I grudge him my love, I want him to love me unconditionally. Thank you. Thank you for listening so patiently. That was my reading. If there is time, I will read a couple more poems. If there isn't, I will hand on the baton to Smita. Ashwini ji, what should I do? Can you hear me, Ashwini ji? Should I hand over the baton to Smita, or should I read a couple of more poems? Thank you all for your lovely reactions that are now coming in. Thank you, Prabodhji. Perfect. So now I will hand